Well, another day is in the books. 49ers free agency, new league year. We're almost done with the week, and it's definitely slowed down to the point where the 49ers had time to administer physicals. They had time to welcome some of their new signees to the facility. And today, Javon Hargrave, pronunciation is important here. I learned that today. Javon Hargrave, Sam Darnold, Cleveland Farrell, and Isaiah Oliver all met the media for their introductory press conferences. So it's safe to say that the first and second waves of free agency are over. Of course, the rest of the offseason is going to be free agency with the league year opened up. The 49ers still have about 30 roster spots to fill out the 90-man. They have 11 draft picks, but the draft isn't for another month and a half or so. So it's now time to sit back and watch the rest of the signings trickle in as the San Francisco 49ers work to field that 90-man roster, work to build out the depth of their team, because that is the primary question mark. The depth is what they lost throughout the first couple days of free agency, and the depth is what they're going to have to regain over the longer stretch of this offseason. But it was exciting, right? These few days were really exciting. They started, the first hour I remember of the tampering window on Monday was, well, okay, what's going on? Is something going to happen? 9 a.m. Pacific to 10 a.m. Pacific, nothing happened. I'm actually on Central Time. I'm flying to Pacific Time tomorrow. So it was noon. It was 10 a.m. Pacific was noon when I was like, okay, I'm going to go out, buy a burrito. I kept it close, Taqueria right down the street. I brought my laptop with me. I'm sitting there. Mike calls me. I'm sitting waiting for my burrito. And he says, the 49ers just signed Javon Hargrave. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess this burrito is going with me to go. I'm not having it at Victor's Tacos. And I was back home within 2 minutes, got the studio fired up. Burrito waited on the table, didn't eat it till about an hour later because shortly after Javon Hargrave signed, Jimmy Garoppolo signed with the Raiders. Mike McGlinchey signed with the Broncos. And we really, that just started rolling. That first day, they just started rolling. And obviously, the 49ers made the Sam Darnold signing later in the afternoon. The 49ers then, a couple days later, made the Isaiah Oliver signing. That was another really important one, starting nickelback to really possibly round out the starting 11 of their defense with Hargrave and Oliver now aboard. They also lost a lot of players throughout all of this, right? And we have our free agency tracker. That's probably something that's worth getting up on the screen so we can kind of go through everything that's happened for the 49ers and keeping that tracker updated. Well, it was intensive work just because so much happened for the 49ers as far as departures went. So here's the free agency tracker. It's going to be headlined by the 49ers' big acquisition, and that is big Javon Hargrave. And we're going to talk a bit about his athleticism in this show because it is exceptional. It's something that pops off the tape. Obviously, I think 49ers fans are already familiar with how much of a monster Hargrave is rushing from the inside. But when you look at some of the metrics, you start to really understand why this guy is as dominant as he is. He is a power rusher and a speed rusher at the same time. And to be able to be a speed rusher, we're talking 169, 10-yard split. Hargrave and Brock Purdy should race. We should see who has a better 10-yard split because both of them, you look at both of them and you're like, neither of these two guys, probably has a very fast 10-yard split. Brock Purdy over a 40, he's not that fast. He's like 4.9. His 40 time, Brock Purdy's 40 time is like Javon Hargrave's. But Brock Purdy's 10-yard split was 1.6 or so. So that 10-yard split is, maybe a little bit faster than Hargrave's. And you look at Hargrave, 300 plus pounds, you're like, this guy's not going to run a 1.69 10-yard split, but he can. And he's not going to run at 4.9 40, but he can. He could absolutely move. And that mobility has allowed him to just dominate on the inside because you combine it with the bull rushing capabilities of a true stalwart at defensive tackle. So anyway, this is the 49ers free agency reaction. We can look through the 49ers free agency tracker. I'll copy and paste this link, toss it into the chat section for you. We'll be answering questions in the show. We'll be looking through some of the graphics that I've made for this week. I have a piece on Sam Darnold coming out tomorrow morning on The Athletic, just a heads up. So you want to subscribe maybe to this free agency tracker, or you could subscribe to the Darnold piece in the morning. But anyway, Today's news, and I made videos for this. Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, T.Y. McGill, both re-signed. These are one-year deals for veteran players that the 49ers had on their team, with Flanagan-Foles for a few years and T.Y. McGill for several years. Move a little bit further down. Isaiah Oliver, obviously, our new starting nickelback for the 49ers. Cleveland Farrell. Charles Omenihu left to the Chiefs. Daniel Brunskill left to the Titans. I want to look up the Brunskill money. I don't think it was up the last time that I checked. I want to see how much he signed for. Omenihu, $10 million per year. Sansom Ebukam to the Colts. Azeez Al-Shire to the Tennessee Titans. Emmanuel Mosley to the Detroit Lions. 49ers lost a lot of players. But again, they're fine with that because they've got to replenish the B-list players. They didn't lose any A-listers. Jake Brendel, they were able to keep. Now, people say, well, Brendel's not an A-lister, David. Why'd they keep Jake Brendel? Well, Brendel plays an A-list position, center. The 49ers have tried to fill that position with A-list talent in the past, but that talent retired prematurely. Maybe not in Alex Mack's case, but Weston Richburg retired. Really an injury retirement. Alex Mack was 36 years old, so he retired. So those were A-list talents that the 49ers had in an A-list position in Kyle Shanahan's scheme, and it didn't work out. So they're developing Jake Brendel, and they developed him just fine. He's coming off a good year. They paid him a $20 million deal. So they're trying to develop Jake Brendel into A-list talent, and he's got the movement capabilities to be one. And they paid him for 4 years. So Jake Brendel, re-signed by the 49ers. There he is. Nice picture of Jake up on the screen. I believe that's from a preseason game. It is. Oh, no, it could be against the Chiefs this past year. Although, did the 49ers wear the patches on their jersey this year or the year prior to that? Can't remember. Jimmy Ward off to Houston. Sam Darnold in tow with the 49ers. Article on him coming out tomorrow. Hassan Ridgway's in Houston. So it's the Houston 49ers and the Nashville 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Raiders. Kevin Givens, there he is. Kevin Givens stays with the 49ers, $2.1 million per year. 49ers defensive tackle room looking a whole lot better than last year. They got that turned around quick. We're going to take a look at that in a bit. Hargrave opens up free agency, signing with the 49ers. McGlinchey left. And before free agency opened up, you had Gibson and McKivitz joined the 49ers. So rejoined the 49ers. Those were re-signings. So anyway, I have the lines of the San Francisco 49ers defensive tackle position written up on Twitter, and I'm going to post this sucker up on the screen for you. This is impressive in my opinion, because remember that the defensive tackle position was the team's, or at least the defense's weakness last year. We'll take a look at this. These are the DT lines. Line 1, Hargrave and Armstead. Line 2, Kinlaw and Gibbons. Line 3, McGill and Kalia Davis. First things first, you got Kinlaw off of line 1. His knee wasn't holding up. He was getting pushed around by Philadelphia. Well, now he's more of a rotational backup guy. He might be able to thrive in that role. Kevin Givens also, he has thrived in that role with the 49ers. These are undoubtedly two A-listers, Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead, and they're now line 1. If you're the 49ers at defensive tackle this offseason, you found that upgrade button, that blue upgrade button, and you just smashed it. You just smashed that upgrade button for the defensive tackle position. And then line 3, well, today they signed T.Y. McGill, 11 pressures last year, did some nice things. And Kalia Davis, who they think, can be the next DJ Jones based on his body type, his explosiveness, his movement capability. But they don't know if he's the next DJ Jones yet, so it's better to have him on line 3. Maybe if Kinlaw gets hurt again or something happens here, you could see Kalia Davis quickly move his way into line 2. But line 1 belongs to Hargrave and Armstead. That is the 49ers DT room. I think that defensive tackle position, they really were able to spruce it up. What about remaining needs in free agency? What do you guys think? Put it in the comment section. I'm guessing a lot of you are going to say that the 49ers need to spruce up the offensive line. But, I had a long Twitter thread on this morning. Here's my stance on the offensive line, because I think the 49ers have actually poured significant resources into it over the past couple off seasons. And doing so is benefiting them right now. They had their best offensive line of the Shanahan era in pass protection last season. Still needs to get better, though. But just let's look at this objectively, because a lot of people are saying, oh, this line is terrible, all this, all that. It's just not rooted in reality. The 49ers are set at left tackle with Trent Williams. They like their left guard, Aaron Banks. They like their center, Jake Brendel. They just paid him $20 million. They like their right guard, Spencer Burford. They lost their former right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. So, yes, there is uncertainty at the right tackle spot. But going from left tackle to right guard, those four positions are taken care of. Remember that left guard, center, and right guard, that's Banks, Brendel, and Burford, the law firm. I like to call them the law firm. They weren't able to retain their attorney, Daniel Brunskill. Banks, Burford, Brendel, and Brunskill would have been the full law firm, but they've only got three now. Three attorneys on the law firm. Remember that the law firm was first-year starters across the board last year. Banks was the first-year starter. Brendel was the first-year starter, even though he'd been in the league since 2016, and Burford was a rookie. So all three of those guys are going to be second-year starters, and you can naturally expect improvement in the second year up front. I think you can naturally expect significant improvement in the second year up front. Trent Williams is Trent Williams. You have to hope there's not any age regression there. So far, there hasn't been any. But anyway, that's 4 of 5 offensive line spots where the 49ers have to be feeling pretty damn good about themselves. It's the right tackle spot that is the question mark. With Mike McGlinchey gone, 49ers obviously weren't going to be able to pay that, the $87.5 million or whatever it was from Denver. The 49ers are in a tight cap situation. The numbers still aren't out on some of these deals, but the 49ers, I estimate, based on all the contracts that they've given out, have about $5 million in salary cap space. So, and there aren't even, many quality tackles out there. Orlando Brown actually made less than I thought he was at $16 million per year, but I digress. How do you address right tackle? What's the strategy? Well, the 49ers strategy appears to be a cost-efficient one because they don't have a lot of money to spend that involves homegrown talent. Colton McKivitz obviously re-signed before he became a restricted free agent for $2.9 million per year. And Jalen Moore is still on this roster. So those are two options. I think the 49ers can still sign a budget veteran option. I think the 49ers can still obviously draft an option. I consider it to be a game of darts. You get as many darts as you can in your hand. You throw them up on the wall, and you hope that something hits close to the bullseye. The more darts that you have, the better chance you have of at least hitting the target. That's how the 49ers need to be looking at the right tackle position. I think that's how they are looking at the right tackle position. McKivitz is a dart. Jalen Moore is a dart. And listen, McKivitz, that throw of the dart, that might land on the bullseye. He's improved a lot over his time with the 49ers. But they're paying him as a swing tackle. And I get it. He probably didn't have much leverage not having played for the 49ers much last year. Just, I think, 41, 51 pass blocking snaps. But he graded better than McGlinchey over those snaps. But anyway, with Colton McKivitz, he can prove himself. It's totally possible that he proves himself. It's totally possible that somebody like Jalen Moore has made some strides. And if that's the case, then one or both of those darts is hit and the 49ers are fine at right tackle. The good news is that it's good news, bad news, but they have way, way more need for offensive linemen than just at right tackle. They need depth. They need their Brunskill. They need their attorney Brunskill, who left the Tennessee Titans. So they need somebody to replenish that multifaceted role. They probably need, they have a backup center, I think, in Keith Ismail. I think that's who they're looking at. He's played the center position, started at the NFL level before actually for Washington. So perhaps that works, right, with Keith Ismail as Jake Brendel's backup. By the way, Mike told me a crazy comp pick story. The 49ers traded for Trent Williams, obviously, and one of the picks they sent Washington's way, I think it was a third and a fifth rounder. They sent a fifth rounder Washington's way back in 2000 and what was it, 20? Yeah, they picked up Trent Williams in 2020. Washington took that fifth round pick and drafted Keith Ismail, who's now the 49ers backup center. 49ers were able to get Ismail back this past year. Let's take a look at the depth chart. 49ers 90-man depth chart. You could visualize where everybody is. Make this a little bit bigger up on the screen. Okay, here we are. I'm talking offensive line right here, right? So there's Ismail right there. He was picked by Washington with a 49ers pick that the 49ers sent Washington for Trent Williams. Talk about fate. Works out. Also went to high school in the city of San Francisco. Born in Oakland, went to high school at Sacred Heart Cathedral. Is Jake Brendel's backup now. McKivitz and Moore are your two top options at right tackle. I think you bring in another option or two through free agency or the draft. Who knows? Maybe Leroy Watson could be an option too. Leroy Watson was a former college tight end, teammates with Spencer Burford at University of Texas, San Antonio, who's converted to offensive tackle by the Falcons last year as a rookie, undrafted rookie. And now Leroy Watson might be knocking on the door of competing for that right tackle spot. They kept him on the practice squad all of last season as a developmental player. He was on the Falcons' 90-man roster of the offseason, but didn't make the final 53. So the 49ers snatched him up there right at the cutoff. So that's what it looks like right now in the 49ers offensive line room. The hole or the question mark is at right tackle. And that's where you might see some more additions for the 49ers moving forward. You might also see an addition for the 49ers moving forward at safety, probably through the draft. Tight end, definitely through the draft. I mean, I could get this back up here. Tight end is still thin. Only 2 players there. But this is the deepest tight end draft class that people remember in a long time. So I think it's clear the 49ers are saving up for that portion of player acquisition for the draft. And then safety, you have Hufanga, you have Gibson, but Gibson's going to be 33. Who's next in line to take over after Gibson? Well, George Odom, he's more of a special teams player. He's a veteran. Taylor Hawkins, maybe you like him. Maybe he's still developing, but you probably need a name with a little bit more sizzle than an undrafted free agent there. Quantrez Knight's on the team, but I have him at nickelback. I mean, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife across the secondary. Kind of like Isaiah Oliver, but Oliver has been best at nickelback. So I think that's where he's going to play. All right. 49ers free agency reaction. How about a 49ers Q&A? How about we get this open? How about we start answering some of your questions? Tilt this camera slightly down. There we go. Open up the comment section. I'm tired after a busy week of covering free agency. Analytics is big in the 49ers organization. They have an analytics arm. Elijah Mitchell was discovered in large part through R&D, research and development, analytics. 49ers try to be a forward-thinking organization as far as analytics go. They've got people for that. You want the link to this spreadsheet again? This one right here? I'm going to share it right now in the comment section for you. Copy, paste. Make sure to bookmark this. There you go. Andrew May wants to bet with people. Sam Darnold will be starting QB week 1. Who wants to take my action? I also wager that he will play so well that he might finish the season. All right. Well, if you want to bet Andrew May, talk about it in the comment section. Am I expecting McCrary Ball or Demetrius Flanagan-Foles as the next man up? That's a good question. And this is at the linebacker position while I have the roster open, depth chart open. This is right here. You're only going to carry 5 at most on the 53. So one of these guys is not going to make it. Obviously, Warner, Greenlaw, Burks make it. Then, Curtis Robinson, I've got to think that's going to be one of the odd men out. And then you carry either 4 or 5. And I said 5. If you carry 5, and you can carry McCrary Ball and Flanagan-Foles. Flanagan-Foles is a really good special teams player. He played 325 special team snaps with the 49ers last year. McCrary Ball hasn't suited up for the football team yet. If McCrary Ball can prove to be as valuable of a special teams player as Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, then he can have a leg up in that competition. But that hasn't happened yet. Dr. 650 asks, can the 49ers trade a 3rd and a 7th for a 2nd rounder? That'll be their starting right tackle. They can probably package at some level. I don't know what it's going to take to package what they need to get to the 2nd round. I know 7th rounders aren't worth all that much. Probably have to use a higher one. I'm going to go to the build your roster to show you where the 49ers are in terms of team construction right now. This keeps count, right? And this is we're only including players on this one that we think are going to make the 53-man roster. So you're building within the context of the 53-man. That's why you're signing players right now. I don't think this is fully updated either. I think that the last couple signings of the day I got to add. So I'll do that right now with you. Anyway, 44 of 53 roster spots are currently taken on the 53-man. Who else did the 49ers sign today? They brought in, I'm trying to think. I'm totally blanking out on what they did. Late in the day, or, at least midday. I'm going to have to cheat. I'm going to have to go here. There we go. T.Y. McGill, Demetrius Flanagan, and Foles. I should have known that. Somebody just asked me. All right, so the build your roster is here. Do we think that T.Y. McGill will make the football team? Yes, we do. So we're going to pick him as one of the defensive tackles. Maybe he makes the practice squad, but just for argument's sake, we'll have him make the football team. It's going to be a budget veteran, $1.17 million. I think the cap hits more than that, but we're still waiting the final numbers. We'll plug in T.Y. McGill. And then Demetrius Flanagan Foles. Well, I'm not convinced Marcelino McCrary Ball or Curtis Robinson will make the roster, but Flanagan Foles has in the past. So we can also select him as a budget veteran and go Demetrius Flanagan Foles. Those are the instructions. We got to do things right here on the roster builder. Take off the italics. All right, so now you're down to $9 million in salary cap space, and you have 7 spots left to be taken. Obviously, players are going to get hurt. That's going to open up more spots, but this shows you a little bit of the logjam. The 49ers have 11 draft picks, and this projection right here shows only 11 53-man roster spots open. So if you're the 49ers, you have to find a way to balance this out, right? You can't just have so many draft picks that there's not going to be room for them to make the 53-man roster. It probably does make sense to package some of them together for a more valuable draft pick so you have a player who has a better chance to fit your system and make the football team. I just don't know what those trade prices are going to be. Is Robbie Gold in the chat using his burner account? Does he want to come back to the 49ers? It'd be cool if he announced through here. Yeah, McGill wasn't awfully productive last year. He was a rotational piece. They might need the rotational piece. They might try to practice squad him. He got a little bit of guaranteed money according to those reports, but T.Y. McGill had 11 pressures last year, was not overly productive. You are correct. Still no restructure of McCaffrey. No, they don't need one right now. They still got $5 million of space, and I don't think they're planning on doing anything huge. Probably one more restructure will be needed for the 49ers by the time the draft comes around and they need to sign some of their draft picks. I think OBJ probably wants a lot of money. He's going to hold out for a little bit longer. By that, I might mean a couple months until somebody gets a little bit more desperate and pays him the money that he thinks that he deserves after that workout last week. I have no idea where they're going to start with the draft, but there's 3 of those comp picks. So maybe they hit safety, maybe they hit tight end, maybe they hit offensive tackle. Those are the highest picks they have, and those seem to be the biggest positions of need. So we'll see. Draft is notoriously hard to predict. Jordan Willis was definitely solid. I think Ndamukong Suh is available, but the 49ers are so deep at defensive tackle that that's not something I think that they would need to pursue this year. They're much deeper defensive tackle than before. Yannick Ngakoue. Yeah, I mean, that would be great if the 49ers could afford him. I don't know how much he's going to command. I mean, he's a star player. So we'll see how the 49ers act on the filling out of the edge rushing room moving forward. Jordan Willis is a really high motor. Definitely a guy you could bring back probably for a little bit cheaper. Really good locker room guy too. Good character guy, Jordan Willis. Maurice Hurst is gone. What are they doing with Hurst? He is no longer the 49ers. He signed elsewhere today. Only played 2 career games from the 49ers. I see an undrafted free agent joining at running back for the 49ers. I'm sure you've heard rumors about everybody, Joseph. So I would not say there's much truth to it. Clowney, I think, is asking for too much money. I think that's the issue based on what I've heard. Drake Jackson should be starting by week 1 if the 49ers have their way. You ask my midseason, I think week 1. Who starts in place of him to start the year? I don't know. We got to study the right tackle market. I think that, and we have to figure out how much they like Colton McKivitz, because there is an affinity for the improvement that McKivitz has made. They might try to moneyball this. They might try to just throw darts up against the wall because it's going to be hard to trade up high enough to get a tackle that's a sure thing. Normally, you have to be all the way up in the first round, and I'm not sure if the 49ers are willing to trade up into the first round, especially given the monetary costs of a first-round draft pick. They've got the salary cap to work with too, and the fact that the 49ers have all these lower draft picks means that cap hit of the draft class is going to be more manageable. It's going to cost, $9.3 million to sign. Joseph also thinks that Drake Jackson's going to have a career year with the defensive line that the 49ers have. A lot of people want the 49ers to trade for Brian Burns. I think that's a pipe dream. I don't think Carolina wants to give him up. It would be foolish to give him up. That's for sure. What are my thoughts on the 4 new signees? Based on their pressers, they're hungry. And what's up with Gold? Is he bluffing? We'll see if Gold's bluffing. My theory is yes. 4 new signees, Javon Hargrave made it clear that he wanted to get paid. He did get paid. And he said, normally it's a bad team that is willing to pay you as much as the 49ers. The 49ers were willing to put that cash out there. Easy decision for Hargrave. One of the most interesting things that Javon Hargrave said was that the Eagles, who had a really good D-line, actually watched 49ers tape. There's a lot of respect for Chris Kasarik in this league. Same thing echoed by Cleveland Farrell, who said that all around the league, as he was doing his research, determining where to sign, glowing reports from players, coaches, people around the league about the 49ers team culture, their player culture, their team culture, just a healthy college-like vibe that Shanahan and Lynch have striven to embed. Well, that sold Cleveland Farrell on the 49ers. Sam Darnold spoke today, likes the culture as well. Sam Darnold, though, those incentives, that's everything in his deal. $7 million of incentives can make it worth more than Baker Mayfield's deal, worth more than Jacoby Brissett's deal. Obviously, Darnold isn't going to be talking about, I want to start, I want to do this. He's in learn the playbook mode. He's going to take things one step at a time. But it seems to me that personality-wise, he fits that locker room. Winning is what's important to him. Winning is what's important to Lance and Purdy. And that's what they need out of a quarterback room where they're just shooting for depth out of that QB room. They want that QB room to be capable 3 deep, maybe even 4 deep after they draft Jake Haener in late April. So I thought the 49ers signees fit today. We'll see how they fit on the field, but I thought today the news was good for San Francisco. All right, guys. That's my free agency analysis. Hope everybody had fun. Hope everybody enjoyed making the trip in. Make sure you subscribe to The Athletic. Check out those spreadsheets. And why don't we talk soon? Why don't we talk? Well, I got to fly tomorrow, but I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Got an article on Sam Darnold coming out. Make sure you check that out. Sub to The Athletic. Follow me on Twitter at Lombardi himself. That text title somewhere here. I don't want to have to dig through it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the coverage. We've been coming to you every single day with long shows. Quick hitters with a lot of food are coming back up. Ever since I started all the food reporting, what was it? Well over a year ago. Now we're really incorporating some sweet spots, some burrito spots, some sandwich spots, all that good stuff. Anytime I'm in California, the food content is going to be rolling in more profusely than when I'm not. All right, everybody take care. It's been a big week for the 49ers. Make sure you get some rest. Everybody, bye now.